So in the 2 weeks going forward, we are now going to look at how do you take data science and scale it out, make it into an engineering um, thing. Right? It's somewhat akin to taking a chemistry lab experiment, successful lab experiment. Let us say you have come up with a new way of making better tires or something like that, and then scaling it out to a tire factory. The considerations that come in scale out and engineering are different from the considerations that you have in the lab. In the lab, you want to innovate, you want to see that your models are good and they work and they solve the problem. But once you have solved the problem in the small, at the level of your laptop or some Jupyter notebook or some instances, the problem still remains. You have an engine that can draw inferences now from data for your particular problem. Like, for example, in this eloquent transformers, now you have an engine that can do various NLP tasks. It can do translations, it can do, and so forth. There are various things that it can do, right? Dependency graphs and so on and so forth. But when you take it to production, the difference between doing it in your notebook and doing it in production is that in production, you don't have one user, you have arbitrary many users. You don't know how many users will be concurrently exercising your application. So considerations like what is the memory footprint, what is the throughput, how many inferences can you run um, per minute, for example. What is the total time that it takes to run the inference? So the total time speaks to obviously the performance of your system. The amount, the throughput that you can put speaks to the scalability of your system, how scalable it is. Resilience speaks to the fact that do you have like all sorts of out of memory error problems, etc. When you do concurrent accesses, multiple users are accessing it at the same time, does it crash? Does it stay up? Right? How much memory do you need? And when you do a cloud deployment, do you have a means to do auto scaling? So these days for scaling, pretty much the de facto standard is something called Kubernetes. It is an orchestration system. Think of it as a puppet master with a very interesting set of puppets. You start out with a few puppets. These are called Dockers, Docker containers, and these puppets are sort of the thing in which you put your application there, your code there inside the Docker. Now, what the Kubernetes does, if you take the metaphor of a puppeteer, or the puppet master, is that it will start out with a small number of puppets who will do their dance, who will provide service to the users, but based on the load profile, it will automatically keep creating new puppets. It will create new Docker instances in the pod. It will elastically scale out based on load, and it will do it in a transparent way so that you have a unique IP address to the client, but internally it does a load balancing across these Docker instances. And the other beautiful thing is that if one Docker instance crashes, let us say that it went through overload, it had an out of memory error, it started crashing. Automatically, the traffic is routed away from that Docker instance. It has a way to backtrack and then redirect the traffic to other Docker instances, other puppets to service the request, user request. So these things are important because these things speak to the thing going into the real world, into the wild, and actually providing um, service to users. Now, this project that you did, the Eloquent Transformer, assuming that you guys are done with it, it is very ready to now be taken to production. You can. I would suggest you should register if you want to do that, especially if you're going to interview or showcase your work. This would be a good time for you to pick up a domain. A domain these days are a couple of dollars, $1, $2. You can pick up a domain. Then with that domain, you can go to Google, and if you have a Google account, map it to your Kubernetes, and then essentially put your application and see people use that application. So there will be, it will be the end-to-end journey of learning machine learning, creating a model, testing the model, validating the model, making sure there is no overfitting, testing the model, and then taking it to deployment, taking it to production, and then, of course, the pleasure of seeing arbitrary amounts of traffic come and obviously hit your system. Now, when traffic comes, there are two considerations. You have to pay for the hardware. In other words, in cloud, if you scale out to lots of puppets or lots of these Docker containers scale, but then there is a meter running. Your hardware utilization is metered, and you will end up with a bill, right, at the end of it, and then you have to pay that bill. Now, the way people typically do it is they either get sponsors, which I think is a little bit more marketing, or it's more, I don't know, sort of hustling around and getting a hold of some corporations. Or the other approach that people do, obviously, is to open out a little bit of an area in the application, which is for advertisement. So since it's your web page, for example, your Streamlit is producing a web page and you write it in Markdown in Python, you can always give a little bit of an area of maybe at the top for advertisement, and especially giving a little bit of an area at the very top for advertisement. Everybody is used to ignoring the banner. People do understand that free services have to somehow be paid for, and they don't mind that there is an advertisement at the top. And obviously, uh, it's sort of that will pay for the hardware cost. Hopefully, you have to find a way to balance it out. So those are the production considerations that you have to take into consideration. Other thing you could do is once you become, and this is becoming very good at hardware. Those are the considerations. And so one of the things that you have to think is where do you stand in knowing these things? I would imagine um, most of you have different degrees of understanding of infrastructure, of taking things, of cloud technologies, and so forth. So these 2 weeks, in some sense, you can say is more about taking it. I mean, you learn a little bit more about Google Cloud. You learn a little bit more about automation, and you learn a little bit more about these things. So I want to just gauge how much knowledge currently exists. How many of you here are pretty comfortable with Kubernetes and Docker, whether or not it is in GCP or Amazon?
Well, as you know, I did some installation of Kubernetes and Docker containers, just getting somewhat familiar with the installation, but not really fully using it. So I'm looking forward to developing that further.
Okay, that is good. Anybody else who is familiar with these things?
I have used Asif, Docker and Kubernetes, so I'm comfortable.
Okay, and did you use it in AWS or GCP or locally?
GCP and locally.
GCP and locally. This is very good. So would you agree that that would be the royal road to take to deployment, more or less?
Yes, Asif, yeah.
Let's do that. Huh? So those are considerations. See, guys, they too are part of being a data scientist, to be able to take your work all the way to production. So let's do that. Right? Now, that is what we'll do in the coming 2 weeks. There is a project that I will release today on computer vision. Tentatively, I've decided that you have to distinguish between two things which look somewhat similar. One is a pepper tree, and as you know, in California, it's very common. And the other, which sometimes can be similar looking, is um, a weeping willow. Do we know what a weeping willow tree is?
Yes.
Right. So this project, the way I'm giving it to you is a business, like as a business case, use case. You have to now parse it and do it end to end. I've taken you to a stage after doing this one project in which I gave very detailed instructions, and pretty much a lot of the code came straight from our labs. This one is also from the labs in the sense that we have covered the territory, but I will give you guys less hand. So in other words, I'll take out the training wheels. so that you can develop confidence of taking a business problem and converting it into a full working product on your own. These are the steps. See, people often talk, what does it take to do a startup? Well, startup is a complicated game. You go and get funding, and you do advocacy. You hustle around and convince people that your idea is worth something. You gather together a team, and there are those aspects. But from a pure technical perspective, the first thing that comes is you need to have something to convince people of, which means that you need to sit with an idea, a business idea, and take it to um, a very thin slice into production. So people, as you know, if you have ever talked to VCs, they are extraordinarily sensitive to whether something is real or it is a paper thin, proof of concept. The bar of proof of concept has risen. People want stronger confidence that it is practically a product. All that needs to happen is that it gets scaled out. So you will learn in a simplified form, in a very simplified form, not with all the complexities, how to take a business idea and convert it uh, into a product. So that is your product. So the statement of the problem is as follows. Somebody can give you either let you upload an image from your website and you say, here's a picture. Tell me whether it's a pepper tree or it's a weeping willow, right? And I'll give you such pairwise combinations. The other would be between jacaranda tree, which is another California native, and something else that's very similar. I'll remember what it is. Right? That's a flowering tree and flowering trees. And you have to be able to tell them apart. So uh, by now, all the steps should be pretty clear to you. So what you have to do is, or people can just give you the URL of an image, in which case you have to download the image and do that differentiation on your own. Once you can do the differentiation, you have to explain why you came to the conclusion, for example, that it's a pepper tree. You have to create the saliency map or the activation map explanation of that AI. So now that I've taught you explanation, the point that I would like to instill is never, never again build a product and make a prediction without trying to also explain that prediction. Right? So, and I invite you to take the Eloquent Transformer product and add explanations to it, add those attention, the word attentions and so on and so forth to your project. That's an enhancement that you should do to your product. And that will mean a lot. It will be a differentiator. Today, very few people make products that explain themselves. And by doing so, you will have a differentiated product. Right? But both from an interview perspective, and if you're thinking of becoming a startup, and also lastly, of course, if you're proposing and pushing a new idea within your own company, it's far more impressive to explain a prediction. People believe or have more confidence in your machine, in your algorithm, much more if it explains itself to human beings in an interpretable way, then the business people will say, aha, I got it. Right? So you have to engender that sort of confidence. So here the point would be that you take this picture, you tell what it is. Is it a pepper tree or is it a weeping willow? And then you give the saliency map of why you came to that conclusion. Would you guys like to do that? I will not give you any data set at all. You have to therefore, in your teams, individual teams, put in effort to gather lots of pictures of both these trees. And I suggest that as a whole class, as a whole batch, all of you, all the teams collaborate in data gathering. I'll give you a sense of how much data you need to train this. To be able to differentiate, you need, in my view, a few hundred data images at least of each kind before you get a good differentiator. Are we together? So you have to be able to differentiate it. The second part of the problem is you'll have to do a neural style transfer. You'll have to take 2-3 artists. One of them would be Monet, one would be, let's say, Picasso, and One would be, what's his name? Van Gogh, right? And you can pick 2, 3 more artists, and you'll have to do a neural style transfer. You'll have to take the trees picture, and you'll have to do a neural style transfer and render it in the style of these artists. Are we together? So those are the 2 goals of your project. A third goal of your project is, which I think you'll enjoy, but it's a stretch goal. You may or may not be able to do it in 2 weeks. So I'll leave it as a stretch goal. Given an image, you need to be able to narrate what is it that the image has. What do you see in the image? Are we together? So you see there is a child sitting under the pepper tree, right? Something like that. Can you do a narrative based on the image that you see? So that would be your next project. I'll give you a short write-up, but that is it, right? That is it. So usually what happens is when you are looking for a contract, when you're looking for a project, and you talk to some company, some business, they will not give you a written spec. They will just talk and say, this is what we want. You have to sit and write your own functional spec. So see if you guys can create your same function spec in the same way that I created a function spec for the Eloquent transformers. If you guys feel that is too hard, I can give you a function spec for that. So where do you guys stand? Do you think you guys can come up with your own function spec, or should I write one articulating all that it should have?
All right. Give us like a day or 2 to give a shot at it, look at our results, and
Sure. So Monday, I'd like to see a functional spec from all of you in the style that of my previous doc, the Eloquent transformer. See if you folks can come up with a functional spec like that. Right? It is the first step. So the way you do projects is you capture what the client is saying, and then you write a function spec. You review it with the client that this is what you want, right? And there are some negotiations in between. But then you think through a technical architecture, and then you sort of start iterating. You start doing those agile sprints, quick sprints, in which you quickly iterate, and every once in a while you ask the client to join a meeting and see what has been developing. So see, guys, if you can follow that methodology. Um, I, I'm a little bit worried that, in this 18-week workshop, we kept only 2 weeks for the projects in an intense form. And that is, in my view, little, but the preference in the team was we covered a lot of topics. I hope we have covered just about every topic under the sun in deep learning. But now I would like to focus on the projects. 2 weeks, if it takes 3 weeks or 4 weeks, that's perfectly fine. Whatever time it takes, I am here. I'll be happy to give you guys time. Let us take this time to do these projects to perfection, guys. And project-based learning is as vital as doing the guided labs or social learning or listening to theory sessions. So please do take the projects very seriously. Don't think that, okay, I have picked up all the topic and projects are optional. They're not. All the research shows that project-based learning is a very, very integral part of learning. So please do take it seriously. Right? So Monday, please come back, each of the teams with a function spec. Otherwise, I'll release a function spec. Right? Now, with those words, let us start with the review of the existing project. Which of you guys would like to show me your project? Which team would like to go first? Kate, would you like to go first? You and Harini and so forth.
sure,
Let's
I
do
can
it.
do that. Harini, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, Harini and Abhishek yesterday were doing a lot of the coding work. They did incorporate
That's right.
the hate speech and translation I provided. Okay.
So all 3 of you present together, step into the, like that.
Yeah, you can stay unmuted as long as you don't have crazy stuff going on in the background. Let me bring up my window with the. There we go.
Okay. Kate, do you want me to share the screen? Or you want to do it? You can do it.
I can start off. If there's something I'm missing, you can show.
Okay.
Okay. I will desktop one. Okay, so here's our
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I really like it.
Harini chose a very nice image there. So we've got the
Okay,
multiple
looking
input.
at it, I'll give you a little bit of a feedback.
Uh,
See, where you say, right, choose the NLP operations for analysis. It shouldn't be in the page. It is called, the first, the part of the browser that one sees when the page loads, just the top part. It is prime real estate. It is absolutely prime real estate. And here, you may not want to keep functionality so much as to doorways to function. Like, for example, choose the NLP operation for. I would say that scroll down a little bit.
Okay,
That
yeah,
should go up. And not only that, lemmatization, take a good example, a good visual image of lemmatization. So those check boxes should become, in some sense, yeah, you can do that,
add
but make them into image,
useful images to the
yeah, and move it up, move it up.
check
They're
box.
more like your menu bar, right?
okay.
These are more like your menu bar.
Okay, so the choosing the NLP operation should be first,
Yeah, and then okay, we'll do that, sir.
You're
then
really good at it.
the input choices. Okay, taking note of that.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
Other
this
screen.
way, the
Gotcha.
user will like to know, okay, what can I do? And so what can the answer to that should come? What does this functionality, this website offer? That should be upfront. Otherwise, see, imagine looking at the logo and then it says type in your text. And you don't see the screen doesn't show the part below that. Then, especially on mobile devices, you have already lost the audience because the person is confused. Why am I asked to enter the text without knowing what it is for? Imagine that you're scrolling up in a cell phone. Have you verified that this is content? Have you checked it out on your cell phone? Easily you can do that. Your cell phone is on the Wi-Fi network. Just see how it looks on your cell phone browser, how it looks on your iPad browser.
Test on your phone. Okay, that's an excellent point. And I already
Yeah.
know we need more robustness
Yeah.
for some of the input
Yes.
text options with some of the different functions. We already know we need that.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be easy for us to change the order of that. We will absolutely do that.
And one last thing I would suggest is there are many themes available on the internet. If you go to the theme forest and so on and so forth, they are excellent static, web page theme, especially for single. You have a single page application, single page themes, right? So you can really make it production grade, and those themes now cost like either they are free or they are like $1.99 or very small, 4.99 or something like that. But it can go a long way in making your application, which currently has a very technical look, to a very consumerish look, audience facing look. So you may consider going to Theme Forest or somewhere, any of these theming places, picking up a theme.
Oh, which theme place did you suggest for a start?
Just
Theme forest.
open a tab and just go to Theme Forest. Yeah, hit enter. And look for simple themes, not the WordPress themes, but yeah, you see that. And pick a responsive theme always, the ones that will look good, because these days people surf the web mostly on their cell phone and iPads. So the primary audience, I mean, the primary viewing you should do is on that. So simple site templates. Do you see this, the site templates? Yeah.
Just a site template.
And just go for very simple one-page templates.
Are
You'll
they
have to browse.
categorized like that?
You can just browse and take something very simple. Like, don't pick up something very complicated, and pick up something quite inexpensive, not the very expensive ones. So there are many such websites, and if you just Google up free web page themes, you'll find many such places. But people have contributed a lot in the open source. So free website theme, a web page theme.
Free website themes.
That's it. Yes.
Unbelievable. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just do restart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, if it's throwing an issue, I can share the screen.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Martin, I'll relinquish the control while that reboots. How rude of it to decide to do that right then.
Murphy's law.
You guys want to, which I can show the under development screen.
Shall I share the screen?
Either Abhishek or Harini.
Abhishek, what do you want me to do?
Or go ahead, Hari.
Okay.
It's Murphy's law. All applications fail when you are demonstrating it.
I'm sure my husband would agree. He used to do software demos as a marketing guy.
It's free website themes, right?
Yeah.
Free website.
This is actually you're not yourself good with CSS and
Shall I go for this?
yeah, 100.
First one?
Yes, yes. You can go with that. No, these are website builders, not website builders. Themes.
Free responsive website templates. Okay.
Exactly. No. Don't go for the advertisements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here one, this one?
Yeah, let's go there. Excellent. Yes. So you can pick something simple. Do you notice that these are simpler and nicer?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
you can add a lot of, color and beauty to your application. So do that. You guys are putting so much effort. Spend a little bit of money, a total budget of, let's say, $10 or $2 to go register a domain. Right? Another $2-3 to get get a free template, and then maybe a hosting fee of like $2 a month or something like that.
Well, I do have a website, katamon.com, hosted on GoDaddy. Does the host matter with that?
No, host doesn't matter, but you don't want to. GoDaddy won't host your Python code. So what you need is, and don't do it. You want to learn the cloud technologies. So learn it, productionization, because that is a part of learning.
Okay, so I
We'll
could
do that in
take
the
my
next 2 weeks. Yeah,
hosted, my name domain, and connect it to a Google Cloud.
that's right. Though I would say that because the three of you are working on it together as a team, pick a neutral name. Like, don't pick a name. Like if you say Katamon, then it won't be doing justice to Harini or to Abhishek. So pick a neutral name and then post it. And then in the application, you can mention that you are the three partners or the founders, whatever it is. And then see how much traction you get, how much attention you get.
Okay. Yeah. We'll do that. So we'll apply the themes and
Do that.
work
Great.
on it.
Let's get back to the application.
I mean, yeah, we've
Okay.
got a number of, my husband has registered a number of websites, so it might be easy for us to just add another one on our host.
Yes.
Okay. I'll just use one of the samples.
So
Okay.
here is a hint about the samples. When you, instead of saying sample 1, sample 2, it is far better to
Right.
get the first sentence. Up to long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny. So if you say that, people get a color of the sample they are choosing. Otherwise, think of the drop down from a usability perspective. When you bring the drop down, it is opaque what text they are choosing, isn't it? So
Okay.
it goes to usability.
Noting that.
Okay, the first, say, 100 characters or 120 characters of the sentence, of the paragraph.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah, how many languages do you support?
3.
Excellent.
Just 3 so far, but we could add more.
Yeah. So
I would like to see what,
you have the translation. When you look at the translation at this particular moment, and this again goes to the fact that the menu bar goes to the top. Now your translation and the original text would be essentially one above the other, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Very good. That is the way it should be. because
Okay,
people
we'll
compare,
change that.
yeah, then they can compare and see.
Compare and see. Yeah.
Okay, put the original. Okay, that's another original text.
Now we just shift these two, then they can see the original text and this.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
And the other thing is these days, no, people don't bother about the submit button. What they do is the moment you paste the text in the text box, you wait for a pause of about 2-3 seconds. And
Mhm.
after that, you consider that as a submit. You immediately invoke the backend to translate. Yeah.
Okay.
Pause for a
The
couple
moment
seconds.
writes the text, immediately the translation takes place, because that has an advantage that people can continuously be writing the paragraph and they can see the translations emerge line by line as they're adding more lines to the text, isn't it?
Okay. Okay.
Otherwise, what happens is now
I'm taking note of that.
writing the text as you're literally thinking through and writing the text in the upper box. They have to keep hitting the submit button.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. So you don't have a submit button.
Okay.
Let's go down. So it's very good. Huh? So you have you implemented all the functionality?
So the continuation, summarization, I think readability, these three, and subject topic detection, these four we are still doing it. There's some issues we're running into, but the rest, everything is implemented.
Very good.
And we have hate speech. I think that's new.
Yeah, hate speech is also working.
Yeah. And guys, do take it all the way to production. In the next 2 weeks, of course, that's what I'll do. I'll teach you guys productionizing and doing that. Go register a good, or pick a good domain name that Kate has. Go and let's get through the process of taking it to production in cloud. Huh? And then put it on your resume about this project.
Okay.
Fun.
And then when you interview, start with this. Just send them your website.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
And
I
now at the end,
all
you
the,
also write about a blog. Write a blog about your experience of, not about this, experience. Write an experiential blog, which is sort of a narrative in which how you learn to build something like that. And see, what happens is that there are two kinds of blogs people write. One is the standard medium kind, in which what you do is you throw the code, this, and then now you do data cleaning, and now you do sentiment analysis, and here is the code to do that. But those are dry. A different quality of blog that you write or narrative is when you talk in first person experience. Yeah? You bring in a more original color, that as a person, as a human being, how do you interact with technology? How do you pick up a technology, learn something, a body of knowledge, and then use it to build something real? And that will be your journey, and that will speak volumes compared to, and far more eloquently than any resume can do. Right? So start thinking about writing a blog.
Okay.
Those are your goals. In this next 2-3 weeks, those are your goals. Okay, very good. So continue that. Hate speech detection, non-hate. This is it.
I think we need
Is you would say probability of hate is 1 minus 0.94.
point something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That,
think we need to change how the outputs are being shown, make it more
yeah.
understandable. Okay.
So you have to also say, see, when you see a number like this, 0.94, non-hit, is it low or high? Is it 0.949 out of 1, or is it 0.949 out of 100? Because if it is out of 1, this is fairly safe speech that is not hate. Whereas if it is out of 100, then most likely it is hate speech, isn't it? So the scale is important. In scientific,
convert it to be like non-hate with a 94% confidence or something.
something like that, and you can say out of 94, out, slash 1.0, out of 1, in some way visually represent the scale. Actually, this one really calls for a slider bar. If you can visually show it as a slider bar from 0 to 1, and you can put a pointer there along with the score, that will be very nice. Now, Streamlit has a slider bar. Use the slider.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
That is it. Very good. Huh? This is a very, very good progress. Continue this. and take it to production, real-time production.
Okay, sir. So next time we'll implement all 4 and put in the themes and all that and get back to you.
And remember Monday,
Vote on everything he suggested.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys.
Um,
Who is the next team?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Very good job. Very good job. Really happy to see this.
Thank you.
Who would like to go next? Um, Shankar, how about you?
I'm still making progress on the modeling part, collecting data, labeling, and then I've run some cases on the summarization part. Other than that, that is nothing much to show. And more than that, this is related to the work I do is related to my work.
Oh, okay. So
that is.
There's a
Yeah.
reality issue. So you can show me separately. I see.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, wonderful. And next, Abhishek is done. Dennis, you and your team. Can I see some progress from you and your team?
We
Sure.
showed it last time. That's it. As if.
Yeah, and then we fix some bugs.
Okay, no, it's all right because some people were not present the last time. So give a quick walkthrough.
Okay. Rajesh, do you want to?
Yeah. And it's exactly the same as what you saw with Kate right now. Right, the visual interface.
Okay.
So this, wait, I can share the screen.
Just bring it up and show. Yeah. So now, guys, be creative with the visual design. Huh? Use Streamlit, but be more creative with the visual design. As you know, the markup allows HTML injection, right? So inject your HTML.
So can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's about it. I mean, I think it's the same walkthrough.
Yes. Eloquent transformers. Excellent.
So we had this also. I think this is. I mean, these are just Streamlit features there, right? So the goal here was, I mean, and I was kind of thinking through this in terms of a UI. It was not about putting it into a production use case. It was about functionally hitting all the things that we wanted to, plus kind of using Streamlit, right? That's all that was the goal then.
Yeah. All right.
But the question, Asif, you said, does Streamlit allow for skinning with other templates?
Of course, you can do that.
Oh, okay. So that need to look at how that does it. Okay.
You have to see in real life, no? These are mashups. You have to just figure it out. I'll give you a hint. It can be done. So do it.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. So this is, I mean, it's exactly the same thing. I mean, I kind of showed this to Harini last time. So that's basically the same flow that they've also adopted. So there's nothing much to show here in terms of, I got some sample text so that there is something there to use rather than having to type it all out.
Yes.
And yeah, you want to do a translation, you pick a language to translate.
Have you checked it out on your cell phone?
Pardon?
Have you checked it out on your cell phone?
I didn't. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about the responsive design aspect of it. So I haven't looked at it specifically yet.
But remember, at this moment, I want each of your teams to create your own website where you do that. When you do go to production, guys, this is a request. You don't have to follow it, but I would strongly request that somewhere you mention project under support vectors, like refer to support vectors in some way. It will encourage other people to come and learn from us. I would request that, and do go to production. And if you have, I mean, go to production all the way on your own. If I was there, support vectors website, I mean the campus, then of course I would have fired up one of the servers, and you could have gone to production on the servers themselves with your domain names.
So that's the aspect that I'm keen on learning, Asif. I was hoping that that's what you're going to do today in terms of, so getting to, so I think some of us have, hands-on product development experience right now in the cloud technologies. Most of us don't. The part from getting from Streamlit into putting it into a containerized world where it can auto scale and so on is a thing worth learning. And if we have to do a toy application that mode, that is a good experience.
That is. So we'll learn these things gradually. See, at this moment, I will give you guys pointers because there are so many ways to do it. I'll point you to the resources to read and follow the examples. There are a lot of examples. Follow the examples and do it.
So because now we are just following, you mentioned about Streamlit. I followed the basic examples there and put it here. That's it.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Further, you're not far. See, ultimately, Streamlit is just a Python script, isn't it? It's a Python script that you run with the Streamlit app. It brings up a web server. That is it. Now, the whole thing, you have to put it into a Docker. Well, into a Docker, all you have to do is scale out in Kubernetes. That's all. Huh?
Okay. There isn't much other than what we've already seen in terms of a design pattern. This is the same design pattern that we showed last time.
Yeah.
There hasn't been anything else added to it.
Yeah, so the same thing applies. But next time, please show it with theming, proper theming. Huh?
Yeah, I think this time we added punctuation for YouTube.
Oh, how did you do that? Show me that.
Oh, there was a package basically.
Which package is it?
Punctuator.
Can you send me? See, there are many packages.
Okay.
I wanted to know which one did you guys like.
Okay, I'll send you. So
How is the quality of the punctuation?
it's not very good.
Not very good, right? Yeah, actually, you should try because there are many people who have created the punctuations. I want you guys to collectively try out different and tell me which is the best.
Let me just throw in a URL there.
Students learn from their past experiences.
In fact, Dennis, I'll give you a project as an internship project, you and Harini. I want you guys, and Kate, I want you guys to find the best punctuator package on the internet. Try all ones out and come to me with the best punctuator.
Okay.
To translate into Hindi. So it's, yeah, what we haven't done, Asif, is we haven't using the same text. So that can be added in so that we can look at a comparison for it.
Excellent.
So the effect of the punctuation is seen only post translation right now.
That is right.
Yeah.
So what you have done is you have taken a YouTube video and automatically have taken the transcript and converted it into Hindi.
Yeah. So that's an implicit pipeline here, right? The conversion from video to text is implicit because subsequently it's also translated. The output is only the translated text.
Okay, good. Yeah, this is very good. Huh? Thanks for this. Another thing, guys, this Sunday, like tomorrow, I would like to sit and carefully put some review comments in your code. So I don't think you guys have all shared with me your GitHub projects, huh? Or made me members of your GitHub projects. It's important because a lot of the improvement that you can make or maturity that you can get is through the code review feedback. So share your code with me. I would like to review it and give you I won't be able to review every part of it, but the crucial parts I'll review and I'll give you the AI part, I'll review and give you feedback on that.
So on our project, you're already there, Asif. So
already there.
Yeah, and that's the same repo where we're checking in the code.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll add you into our GitHub thing.
Oh,
Do me a favor. In our Slack, create a document. I think there is a way to create a document or a page in which all these GitHub links can be put. Can each team put the links there so that, I have a common place to go look at? I stay very busy and I don't remember where, even if you have sent it to me, I've lost it. So can we have a central page for everybody's GitHub link?
Where is central?
What's it? In Slack. In Slack, create a page. In Slack, there is a feature that you can add in a project or sort of in a channel. You can add a document somehow. Do you remember how? There is a way.
Pin it to our team channel.
Yeah, no, so when you go into our team Slack, when yesterday Abhishek put in the Git thing again, right? That time it gave that option.
What was the option that it gave?
To create something for Git or use Git with Slack directly or something like that it gave.
No, not like that.
He
I
just
want
wants
to
a link to the Git location, right?
a simple page.
In it.
It's a way to add a page. Oh, you see shortcuts? No, not shortcuts. Okay, pin. Yeah, under files, you see the file, guys. Let's do one thing. One of you upload a file, and in the file put everybody's link. Who would like to gather the Git links from everyone? Dennis, can you please do that?
Sure.
Yeah, please gather Git links from everybody. Now, and just and make sure that in each of your Git projects, I have just the read privilege. I don't need write privilege. I just have the read privilege, and I will give you the feedback.
Okay, I pasted ours right into the chat for the Zoom,
Yes.
just for now.
Right.
Dennis, you can see it there.
The reason is I'll get very busy, but tomorrow I have time to just look through some of your code. All right, which is the next team? Who would like to? Nobody is volunteering. I have to call people out. Okay. There are 3 Kates. Who is the second Kate?
One of us, it's me. So that's not me.
That's not you. Okay. Abhishek is done. How about Patrick and Supal? How about actually you guys need help at the end. Okay. Sanjay. And Premjit, you have already covered it. So I believe that, oh yes, Praveen. Praveen, how about you? Hello, Praveen. You're on mute? Okay, still on mute.
Yeah, Asif.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I have just a UI part. Actually, I'm still need to complete the functionality. It's more similar to what Kate or Premjit has shown.
Nice.
I can share and show you that it's almost the same thing.
Yeah, show it to us. Just give a preview of it.
Just a second.
And Saurabh, you are working with whom?
Sanjay, Patrick, and Supal.
Oh, right. So you are one team. Okay. So guys, take that project, computer vision project, seriously. Come up with a spec on Monday evening. Now remember that there is no more theory being covered. I will explain some things for one part of the session, but the other part, I'd like to see the function.
So Asif, are you seeing now?
Yes, I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, it's pretty much what these guys have done. So
nice.
Transfer from YAD. So you have a text inputs, different text inputs, and a sample. I need to add this functionality. It's in a separate methods.
Yes.
So to do that, so I will do that later. But I wanted to get the UI part and get familiar with the Streamlit. So that's why I thought I will just put the skeleton of these things and functionality I can add it.
Okay, wonderful. What is that top right hamburger? Click on that.
Which one?
The top right hamburger. You know the 3 lines, 3 horizontal lines. No, in your page, in your application.
Yeah.
Top right here. Click on that.
Just a second.
Top right.
Deploy. Okay. Reporter works. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, the good thing, right, as if with the Streamlit, I found out that you can keep doing the work and run in a real time. Actually, that's a good.
Yes, the beauty of Python, it's a scripted language.
Yeah, see, if I make a change, right, so it's automatically you can see like.
Yeah.
Once I save this, right, so.
Yeah. Yes, it's very nice. Excellent.
I don't know, most of them know this, or so that's the one good feature from this one.
No, thanks for pointing that out. Thanks, sir, because people don't have to restart again and again.
Yeah, just save that.
Oh, perspective of prototyping, Streamlit actually is excellent, right? I mean, you could literally keep writing your code on one side and keep seeing what is happening with it on a separate screen.
Yeah, Yeah, that's what I was doing actually. See, for me, so data visualization was the biggest bottleneck. See, I have a lot of ideas and I can bring in data from various places, but building HTML page and all those stuff, it was painful. So I wanted to get familiarized with this Streamlit. So this was really actually a boon, Streamlit.
Very good. So guys, I remember one enhancement that I asked you to do is now when you do, for example, sentiment analysis, explain, put the explanation there. Why did it pick up, or what words did it pay attention to for the sentiment, right? Likewise for topic detection and for things like that. I hate speech. Make it explain itself. Right? And if you explain the text, believe me, you are way ahead of the crowd at this moment. Most people, most applications don't explain themselves.
Yeah.
All right, guys, good guy, good. So
And also I found Visual Studio is also pretty good, Asif. So
yeah, I noticed you're using that. That's what I was going to comment, that
yeah.
you use Visual Studio. Actually, I am so used to PyCharm.
Yeah.
I've stayed with PyCharm, but I hear that, oh, by the way, if you're using PyCharm, guys, or whatever you're using, there is a plugin which is very popular these days, Kite, K-I-T-E. Make sure that you're using it. Kite will just guess what you want to type, and it will auto-complete your code. It is much smarter auto-completion than what you would find in the typical IDs.
So if you see here, Asif, it says Kite Ready here at the bottom.
Oh, you are using Kite.
Yeah, I'm using Kite Ready, and the good part of this is I can switch between my different environment. If you see here,
yes.
So I can easily, but in PyCharm I find it difficult. Here I have a couple of virtual environment like Allen NP, PyTorch with SpaceE3 and TensorFlow. So I can easily switch between all of those.
You know, Microsoft has invested a huge amount of money in Visual Studio Code.
Yeah.
And when you know the predictive, the auto completions here, they are being run. Literally, it's a call back to the server to one of the largest AI models.
Yes.
Is there?
And they have this plugin, right? So Asif, this is pretty good actually. They have tons of plugins available.
Right. Oh, Jupyter.
Like Visual Studio, it's very lightweight and pretty fast compared to your PyCharm.
So are you suggesting, Praveen, that I should start taking it more seriously than PyCharm? Like move away from PyCharm to this? Is it time to do that?
Yeah, you can take a look into it because this is built on Atom. So it's very lightweight actually.
I have another concern about PyCharm is that it's from JetBrains, which apparently is a Russian company.
Yeah.
There's security issues with that now.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah, the recent hacks, they're saying that most of that company, they're using a JetBrains products, and that's what the doorway to hacking.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because for their development work.
Yeah, development work.
So when you create your binary, they quietly sneak in their backdoors. Huh?
Yeah.
Effectively. Wow.
Yeah, this is quite good, Asif. Visual Studio, you should consider seriously, and with the amount of and the GitHub integration, because Microsoft owns now this one, right? So
yes,
GitHub, so you can easily integrate it with GitHub actually.
Yeah, sure, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Praveen, this is a executable that you install, or are you running this on a browser-based application?
It's executable.
Okay.
So, see what happens is with years of practice, my hand has gotten so accustomed to Eclipse and PyCharm. The only resistance I have to switching is that all your keyboard shortcut and your muscle memory goes away.
Yeah.
You have to start all over again.
And also I have this, I don't know, we use GSH Asif. So this is the...
Oh, GSH, I've never used this. What?
Yeah, Premjit, you can try this. They have a Oh My GSH. So that is pretty good actually.
What does it give you? What does the GSH give you?
No, the Mac, they have switched to GSH now. It's a default GSH shell. And there are quite a bit plugin like Oh My GSH, where you can know where you are in the Git and all those themes as it. So.
Oh, okay. So it's a very Mac specific thing.
No, it's Z for zebra.
Yeah, Z for zebra. Yeah.
No, I understand. It is a Z. See, ZSH has been there in the Unix world for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's a plugin to ZSH itself or to the Mac version of ZSH?
No, they have something called Oh My GSH. So that's the one I.
Okay, so it is a ZSH plugin.
Yeah.
Okay, I got that.
So
But
if you
I'll
see that,
definitely look into it. That is a good thing to learn. See, this is again, I guess I'm beginning to fall behind the times. I am so used to Bash. Yeah?
so
I
this
know
is
that
the one
Bash.
you can install on, because Mac's default has a GSH, so you can install on top of this one.
Okay.
They have hundreds of plugins, community themes, and all this stuff. Actually.
Yeah.
Praveen, what does it give? Like, what does this plugin provide? Is it a source code management environment, or are we talking about some utilities for just managing the computer?
No, this is just on your terminal, right? If you see here, you have a GSH shell default. So what this does is it will more kind of makes it more user friendly. You can see here Git and all this stuff. If you see here, so it's just the console. It doesn't give you anything else. So.
Okay, so this is skinning in terms of when you open a terminal, there is some color coding and all that. That's what.
Yes, yeah. It's because plain GSH is not really that attractive. So if you install this, it will add all this stuff on top of your GSH.
Okay.
It's quite a good actually. I'm using it with all the Git repositories and all the color coding, and you can get any kinds of themes you want and all this stuff. So that's a thing with this one.
Okay, so I realized something very interesting. There is a project called Oh My Bash.
Yeah.
So this is Oh My ZSH. Okay, nice.
I think it brought some color into the terminal environment.
Yes, yeah, it brings color, and if you are in a Git, especially, it automatically shows you are in the master branch or which branch you are.
Hey guys, if you use Ubuntu, the terminal is just awesome. The terminal that I use.
I like Ubuntu.
Yes. Beautiful, very colorful terminal and very, very powerful. It has a full Emacs capability. Like, all the Emacs commands, they literally work. And I'll see. Yeah, I guess the question is, but it certainly helps to add more things to it.
Yeah, like Unix, as if Linux, especially Ubuntu, but it's only for pure development you should use that machine. For Mac gives us most other, like I do video editing and pictures and all those stuff.
That is
you especially not possible in Linux. It's only for a pure development. It's good.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Like in my case, right? I'm talking to you now through a Windows machine. This is the only thing I use this Windows machine for video conferencing and for basic video editing and so on and so forth. Whereas I do pretty much live the rest of my life on Ubuntu.
Yeah. For us, it's a Zoom calling, a video calling, everything goes through the Mac and as well as development.
Yeah. But Ubuntu has its own video. I mean, Linux has its own video editors, but nothing compared to the Adobe suite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys, it was a fun session. Let's meet again. I'm hoping that so Monday, guys, we'll have a presentation. I mean, I would like to see the functional specs. I will also be explaining to you one thing that I didn't do is how do you create a Java project and take it to production, right? So I'll get you guys started with that. It is important because when you work in companies, you'll often see that the most of the engineers, data engineers, are Java people, Java/Scala and so forth, Kotlin in that family, JVM family, and you are in the Python. These are the two dominant language families. I mean, three actually. JavaScript these days is number one, but it's a lot about UI. People are beginning to write even the backend microservices in JavaScript, Node.js. But the performance gaps are still there. The reliable, the industrial strength code is still in the Java family or C++. So, and the data science is almost all Python. And it is important to be familiar with both these families. You guys have all picked up R and Python, the dominant themes in the data science world. If you are not familiar with Python, Java, it's a good time to, and I will start introducing you to some Java ecosystem libraries. So we will create a native Java application in next week. And one of the things, I don't know if many of you know, how many of you know that Java can now compile to native binaries? You don't have to have the virtual machine anymore.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You're using that, Pravina, the native binary?
Yeah.
How do you like the performance of the native binary?
Yeah, initial boot up is quite fast, right? Because in JVM, the initial load time was consuming, right? So this is pretty fast.
Yeah, and how about the runtime there? At execution time, do you see a difference?
Yeah, we find a few milliseconds or seconds difference.
Yeah, quite nice actually. You can create very optimized binaries in pure native. You lose something, like for example, reflection gets compromised. So I noticed that when you do dependency injection, you can't mark your injected properties as private anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, so minor changes, but other than that, it's something I'll introduce you guys to. It will be code heavy, guys. So that will be important thing. It will be code heavy. We'll go through that process. Okay, guys, and then I'll see you, I suppose, on Monday.